Hello, this is the Ven7, and I'm back with another video. So, this will be something that I haven't really done before. This will be more of like a first thoughts or like a review on the new DLC for the Hot Wheels DLC for Forza Horizon 5. And this I think will maybe be the start of a different direction for the channel because mostly I've been just recording gameplay and posting without any editing and stuff. So I think I've decided to take this. I'm not sure if this is permanent, but maybe for the next few videos, I will do a little bit more different stuff like reviews, maybe looking at like trailers or making tier lists or something more different and probably more interesting than just gameplay that isn't edited at all. So this will definitely be probably my most work on video outside of just actually playing. Um, and so I'm hoping that I can get this uploaded the 22nd, which is tomorrow for me, um, because I'm going on a trip the day after for a week, and then this video will kind of be obsolete. So a few notes before I get into this video. This is just somewhat the beginning since it's only been like 2 or 3 days since the DLC is released. So I've only really this. If you don't know Hot Wheels, the DLC has class requirements that you have to unlock to get each class of car. But I've only got to A, so it's not that far. So I might post a video later when I get farther in about my thoughts, but these are just thoughts about the relatively start of the game. Um, of course, this is all my opinion, and so some people might think this much different than I do, but this is my opinion, and yeah, this is definitely not fact. It's my opinion. And also, I'm not talking about online whatsoever. I usually never really play online in the Forza games. Also, unless it's Eliminator. Also, I get kind of lazy because I have a glitch on my Xbox that whenever it quick resumes, the online is off, so I don't want to reset it and stuff. So, this is nothing about online. So, first thing, now that we're getting into the video, the first thing I want to talk about the new Hot Wheels DLC is the graphics. And of course, it's the same graphics as Forza Horizon 5, which are beautiful. The sky is beautiful. The background's beautiful, especially when you're on the Hot Wheels track and you're looking far down into like a ravine or like into the forest. It's just absolutely incredible. One of the best looking games, of course. And so, I mean, you can't go wrong with the graphics in this. One annoying, truthfully part. This is the presentation. Is that when you're racing on the track, um, there's a large part of the map, which I'll get to even more depth later, that is really just orange track and then sky, which kind of makes it boring, which I'll talk to more about later in the like the feel and the gameplay, but there's a problem with that, which I'll get to soon. But before I get to that, I think they could also do more with the special objects in the environment. This doesn't even have to be gameplay oriented. This could just be cosmetic oriented because I mean I don't have much recollection of Forza 3's Hot Wheel DLC, but I think they had like cool stuff like dinosaurs and stuff. And there's really, other than the environment, there's really only two things that I've seen so far that are just cool cosmetics. There's been like a bird and there's a dragon, and the bird you don't really. It's not that impressive. It's just like a green bird that you're like, oh, okay. And the dragon, while being cool, I think they could have done better. I mean, it might have been more work, but I think they could have done better that way. Um, like I said before, the surroundings are beautiful. Oh, and one thing is that in the gameplay I have this turned off, but the automatic settings that they have this roll indicator, which indicates like where you are compared to, on the track compared to what's the natural like flat racing. Um, which helps figure out how to get G Forza, which is a thing that I'll talk to later in gameplay. But it bothers me. It might just be me, I don't know about anybody else, but it bothers me. It's like this yellow and thing right in the middle of the screen. That's right where I'm looking when I'm racing. I just want to see the the graphics, and it's cool racing without seeing anything other than the map and stuff, right? That's in the corner. So it feels more natural in the game. But with the roll indicator, I guess it feels more like a video game. That's not really what I want with Forza as a racing game. Also, it kind of just bothers me because it kind of like focuses your attention, and yeah, I just don't really like it. So I turned it off almost immediately after the first race. I also turned off another setting, the stunt assist, which I won't really review in this episode because I haven't used it enough to know exactly what it does. I think it like keeps you from hitting the side of the track or something. Um, so I do hit the side of the track a lot. Apologies for that in the video. But okay, now I think that's really it for the presentation. That's probably the smallest section that I'll go over. But first, I think most importantly, of course, is the gameplay. So back to what I was saying about the tracks in the sky with just the sky. It kind of makes some of the sections feel repetitive. So because you're just going on an orange track in the sky. Like in the base game, you would be racing along, right? It would be not nothing always felt repetitive, even when you're doing the laps, because there's always like a different environment about you. Like sometimes you're gonna be racing under a tunnel through a city, in the middle of a forest, right? But in this, you're racing in the sky, which is kind of the most boring piece. All you see is sky, or you're racing through a jungle, a desert, kind of like a, or like an ice thing, and maybe and the like. I'm forgetting if there's more tracks though. But I think there's like four environments, and so you're always gonna race through those, and there's nothing more to it. I think it just gets repetitive that way. I mean, the environments are cool. I don't think that's too repetitive environments, but the sky part itself is kind of repetitive, and I wish they could have done that. But they did add something that I think helps a lot. They added a lot more things that make you go much faster than you would in the base game, and it helps with the repetitiveness because you go through those more boring sections with just the sky. You're probably gonna go much faster than if you were just playing the base game. So I'm thankful for that. Another problem is the tracks themselves, because at least at the start of the game, all you're doing is racing on these orange tracks, right? So first of all, the racing track, it kind of get repetitive, but my biggest problem with it is that is actually the crashing, because if you kind of go off the side, all you're gonna do is hit the thing, slow down, maybe do a couple like lose control a bit, but there's no really variety in the crash. I know that's kind of weird, but I wish there was more. Like if you mess up in the base game of Forza, there's so many different things that could happen, and so many ways that you could adapt to that if you don't do a rewind, which I admit I should do less than I should use rewind less than I do, but there's so many different varieties that you can happen and how you can react to that. But in this, you're just hitting against orange wall, or maybe you're ping ponging back and forth. That's like the most intense it can get. Or you can just hit the wall, slow down, or just hit and stop. And it's kind of boring that way. I mean, I wouldn't call this game boring, but kind of a slog, for the lack of a better word. Okay, sorry, I'm just looking at my notes here. Okay, that makes it really lose some fun factor. Uh, Again, this is why they added this faster things, because oh wait, yeah, that's why they first of all they added the faster things because it adds more variety and stuff, and second of all, I think that's also why they added the the fast travel. So I know there was always fast travel in the regular Forza games, but this fast travel is different because it's completely free. Um, and so you don't get bored just going to destinations. So you can just quickly play 0 credits to go wherever you want. And that's nice that they added that. I think that's probably why they added that. And also kind of makes sense because I mean they built all the track there. Of course they can take a car wherever they want. But yeah, I think it's good that they added free fast travel. And of course if you don't like that, then just don't use it. There's no problem with free fast travel. Um, okay. Truthfully, I don't know why they don't have free fast travel in the base game, but that's not really that big of a complaint. Okay. Again on the speed ups, those are pretty fun actually. I'll get to the other ones more on later, but the water flumes are probably the most fun because it's just really cool idea that you have to go with the water against and you can go super quickly, and it actually kind of really adds a different type of driving. I feel like it you can be much better with it actually. It feels a much more controlled experience, and it's a really good change of pace compared to the normal racing. Um, Another thing is that the inclusion of G Forza. So if you don't know what G Forza is, I'll quickly explain. I think it's like a pun on G Force. And so it's when you go like quickly in this on a tilt, like you're not level with the ground, like like you're on the side or something. And when you go quickly and then you level up, depending on how fast you're going, how long you're at this tilt, you'll get a G-force, of course, with the regular, um, normal, awesome, ultimate, good or whatever. And so with those, that's just a cool addition. I love the pun, and it's just cool that it has some different um modifiers or whatever the skill somethings or whatever that I added to the DLC, and not just keeping the same that they have um on in the base game. Which one thing that's interesting though, that this is just completely off topic, has nothing really to do with the of the game, but this is the first time that I learned that there was a thing called drift tap. It's when you're drifting and you slightly tap the wall without doing a crash. And I don't know if I could do that without the orange track. So that's just an interesting thing that happened. Okay, here, where am I? Okay, so another thing is that another complaint I have though is that the class restriction is interesting and kind of gives a good change of pace, and it does a new mechanic that I like, but again, because of those repetitive sections, and because at least I'm used to racing with faster cars in the Forza, it kind of is kind of a slog with just having to stick with B cars at the first. Um, and there's another problem that I'll get to later when I go over the content of the game. Um, Another thing is uh, the progression system itself is pretty good. I don't really have any complaints about it, but and this is not a complaint, but some of the optional challenges that give you, well, not optional challenges, but some of the like side challenges are decently challenging. You have to beat some races at highly skilled. I usually only play at above average, so I'm not quite there yet. But that's not really a complaint. It's interesting, but I know if you might want to complete everything, just know that you might have to work your butt off a bit for that. Okay. I personally like that they added some challenge to the game. That's cool. Um, okay, so the content. Let's get to content. So one problem with the class system is that when you get to B rank, there's only like two, maybe three races and like two PR stunts. And truthfully, that's annoying, especially because in the progression system, you have to win three races to complete a major objective, and those are the three races. So you're gonna have to play the same three races over again until you win, which truthfully isn't that hard if you're playing on a reasonable difficulty. But I wish they had more at the beginning. I understand that's kind of hard to do with the class system, and maybe too much work to add that much content from just the DLC standpoint. But yeah, I wish they added a bit more content at the start, just so that I had more things to go while progressing to the higher class. Um, let's see here. What the heck did I write? Um, the map. That's what I wrote. I have horrible handwriting. Sorry about that. The map itself is cool. I like the idea that they have four different environments with the cool with well, not really the cool because it's kind of repetitive, but the sky in the middle. Um, but again, I wish for more cosmetic content, more like of these cool dragons things. Like add the dinosaurs in Hot Wheels 3, Forza 3 Hot Wheels DLC. That was cool. Um, who doesn't like dinosaurs, really? I'm pitching you gold here. Playground games, you really should do it. But anyway, um, I wish also. I don't know if this is possible. I don't know much about Hot Wheels. I don't know if there's more like cool jump things that they could add, but add more stuff like that because literally there's only the loop de loops. Um, and I guess there's a few jumps, and the jumps are really cool there. But add more jumps, add more loop de loops, add more something. Come on, you can do it. Um, and that really shows in the intro because in all the DLC intros and all the base game intros are always super cool. And you know that whenever you do like a big jump, it slows down, cool slow motion. There's there's only like one jump in the intro to this Hot Wheels DLC, and I guess the big slowdown motion was only when I completed a loopy loop, and I guess there's a pretty steep hill, but it was kind of lackluster. I slowed down, and all I was doing was riding downhill. And I was like, um, it just did not feel right at all. So I think they could work on that a bit. Okay, another thing is out of all the environments, I, I'm I these transitions aren't really working, but I'm just going from thing to thing. But out of the environments, I would say that the desert map is the definitely 100% the best, um, because it is the one map that so far I've been seeing having a lot of off road. First of all, the desert or canyon map or something, I would say is the coolest looking personally because it has all these canyons interlocking and there's these ravines. You're going through ravines and stuff. It's really cool. But the main thing is that this one has the most tracks that don't just have the plastic track walls. They're completely open, so you could fall off, which usually I wouldn't find a good thing, but I find a good thing here. And there's big sections of it. The snow map kind of has this as well, but to a lesser degree. There's big sections of it that you can go off road, and that's what I love of Forza games. You want to have that off road, which is kind of limited in the DLC so far. So the desert map is definitely the best. I think the snow map is close behind because it adds a few things like the ice track and it has a little bit of off road. Um, I haven't really experienced the lava volcano rock thing. If that's even a thing, I might just be imagining that up in my mind, and there might be only three environments other than the sky track in the middle. I think there's only three environments. Just forget what I said about the volcano thing. That's just one section of something. Just ignore what I said about that. But I think the forest, while I like that aesthetically, pretty much the same level as the canyon and this canyon. Um, because I love green. Nature itself looks better to me than desert canyons and snowy stuff. But it's kind of the most my least favorite out of all of them because really all you're doing is racing plastic track through the thing. And on that note, the one special thing about it is rumble track. I know that's not even special. That's everywhere. But that's where you get introduced. I guess the water plume is there. That's one cool addition. But the rumble track, on that note, I have no idea what it does. I've only raced it. Note off-road vehicles, so I don't think that really changes much. But I don't really know what it's to do. Is it supposed to bump you up and down? I really don't know what the rumble track is supposed to do. The ice track though is fun, but it really doesn't change much unless you're on like one certain level. It really You don't really have to worry much about it. It's not that hard to navigate the ice track, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing because I mean you do have some sliding, but I don't know if I would like it to be harder with the ice track. I'm not kind of sure. I just think it's a cool addition that they added. Um, Again, I'm not sure what the rumble track does. Um, like I somewhat mentioned this before when I was talking about the intro and having to add more special stuff. Um, I think they lack airtime. They need more airtime. I said that they had to add more jumps. They had to add more jumps. When they have the airtime, I admit it's a really cool. Like all the danger signs are over 1,000 feet, which was not compared to the base game, which usually stayed in the hundreds. And I'm a big fan of that. I love those. The danger signs are cool, but just add more. Hmm? Just add more. That's all I want. All I want is airtime. Okay. Another thing, of course, to this repetitiveness, I don't know why I put this in the context session, but oh well, this will be in the content session. Is that this fast travel does fix this, but it's really annoying when you're like right next to an objective, right? And you're like, oh wait, this will be like a 30-second drive to it. Then you press on it on the map, and then it shows you that you're a different level towards it, and so you have to go all around this weird track navigation to get to the second level. And I think it would be better if maybe they added more connecting to different tracks, and so you could go to different tracks more quickly. That might mess up the races, maybe, but I guess they could just keep the checkpoints from letting you do that. So I think they could have done better with that. But then again, the fast travel does fix that, and I'm glad they added the fast travel. Again, like I said before, the extra speed stuff helps, and it actually feels pretty good. The speed boost thing that I think they had in 3, um, feels as good as it's ever been. You can almost feel like the impact of it, and I'm glad for that. Um, oh wait, that's in the feel section. Well, I'll get to that later. But before we get to the feel section, a little bit more of the content. The story mode, the singular story mode, add more story modes. They might add more story modes. In when you increase more classes, but it's annoying that they only have one story mode. That's some of the best parts of the Forza series. That I mean, the new Forza 4 and 5. I don't think 3, 2, or 1 had story, like not the main, not including the main story. I'm talking about like the story missions and stuff. Um, I think they could add more stories to the Hot Wheels DLC, but the singular story they have is really interesting. Um, it tells this you get to race old Hot Wheels cars, which as I said before, I'm not the biggest fan of Hot Wheels, but I mean, who doesn't like Hot Wheels? I think I collected like hundreds when I was a little kid, but who doesn't like Hot Wheels? It's cool to race Hot Wheels, and they get that with this DLC. But um, I think that they could. Uh, um, I think that the story is interesting. The story is interesting, and the racing the story is fun as well. The racing in that story is some of the best in the Hot Wheels DLC, and they lead to some danger jumps and stuff. So I love airtime, so I'll take it. But I think the one thing is that in one of the more like the most recent story level I did, which I probably show in the gameplay that I have over this, we might have already passed it. I'm not sure. I'm recording this audio before I'm editing the gameplay, so I'm not exactly sure. But I guess it might have just been because I was thinking about this video while I was doing that, so my thoughts were so wrapped up in that. or maybe it was because I was focusing on the racing a lot. Sometimes it's hard to pay attention to exactly what the person's saying because they're saying it constantly over the racing. And so, but I mean, that's not really a big complaint. I can mostly pay attention most of the time, so I'm not so mad about that. And hey, if I'm having fun enough not to be paying attention to the words, that's a good thing. Um, and so, this is more of a hypothesis. But I can already kind of see it forming once I've gotten into A. I think the game will get more and more fun because first of all, when you get to the different classes, more and more content will add up, right? And then second thing is that the more and more classes, of course, you'll get more and more faster. First of all, it's cool that they had the X class. It'll be nice to ride some X class cars that maybe I won't have to modify. I'm not sure, but I'll have to see when I get there. But I think um the faster and faster you'll get, the less repetitive it'll be because you'll be going through those boring slog sessions at breakneck speed at the same speed or even more, much more because of all the speed boost things. Um, you'll be going at a much faster pace than even the base game, and even if the environment's kind of repetitive, you'll be having blast because the more speed, the better. Unless you're crashing all the time. I have not gotten that far, so I don't know if I'll crash all the time. But as long as we're not crashing the time, the more speed, the better. And so I'm excited to get that far if I can get that far. Um, so like I said, the speed boost feels really good. We're on field now. The speed boost feels really good, and also I like the loops. I think the way that you go around them and the way the camera works, it works well with the loop de loops, and I like that you go faster. You go slow when you're going up the loop de loops, and you go fast, and it feels good when there's a drop right after loop de loop because you're going super quick, and that feels nice. Um, Again, like I said, it'll probably feel much better once you get to higher classes. Um, but in the end, I feel like overall experience, I don't really like it as much as the base game because it just feels like it's missing something. I don't know exactly what that something is. I think it probably is just the entire environment around you and not just the plastic track and the occasional off road. I think that the base game just captured that so well, just racing all around the world, and that the Hot Wheels just it takes you out of the game. I would say it lets you know that you're playing a video game, and I don't know if I would really want that as a video game. What it does really well is that it makes you feel like you're racing Hot Wheels. And that's probably what it's set out to do. But I just don't enjoy it as much as I would the base game. Another problem is that I don't know exactly why. It might be just because I've had so many moments. There's been so many beautiful moments in the base game, or maybe it's that like repetitiveness, which doesn't really make sense. But when you get through a moment that's kind of like cool, like there's this one time when I was racing through the jungle, and then there's like a huge waterfall just appeared right at the side of me, and I was racing right next to the waterfall. It just didn't feel as momentous and cool as it does in the base game because, like that intro, that beautiful intro into Forza Horizon 5, one of my favorite intros in all of video game, really. It just all those moments just are so beat to beat, and it just so feels so momentous, like you're really driving through a sandstorm, and it just it feels cool. It just doesn't feel as cool in this. Again, I'm not exactly sure why, but it just I don't get that same odd feeling. Not odd, like AWED, like awestruck, not ODD, but I don't get that awestruck feeling. Um, and so this really, these factors really make me enjoy the base game better. And I think even when I was playing the Hot Wheels DLC, I was like, when I was recording this gameplay, I was like, oh, can I just go back to the base game? And yeah, just the base game, I think, is, I won't say far superior. The Hot Wheels DLC, even because of all these complaints, is still a really fun game. Forza Horizon 5 was a beautiful base game, and they built well on the engine. And I don't think they would have a very hard time not making it a fun game. But it just does not feel as good. It doesn't. I the the only thing that really is at the same level is just the driving itself, which you can't really change, but it just doesn't feel as good. It just does not feel as good as the base game, and I couldn't really get over that while playing. Um, and so it just becomes a slog, and you just want to play the base game again. One note before I wrap this up is that I did experience one glitch. I haven't really troubleshooted yet. I probably can just fix it by restarting the game, but one of the drift zones that I kept going over, I was sure I was in the right place. I might have made a mistake, but I'm pretty sure I was in the right place. It just wouldn't, it would appear on the map for me. I could send navigation to it, but it just wouldn't appear in the actual game. Like there was no marker for the drift zone, and when I would go over where it said on the map, nothing would happen. I went both directions. I probably just have to restart the game, but that might be a big problem because it's one of my major objectives to do all the PR stunts, and I can't complete that objective, and so I'm not exactly sure if I can get to the next class, and so that could be a big problem. So we'll find out. So just a quick wrap up. Overall, while it does have, it still has fun. It has that fun factor from the base game, from Forza Horizon 5. It has that really good base, and the driving is still as fun as ever. Just the lack of uniqueness, the lack of special content, and just having stuck to that plastic orange track just that makes it not feel as good as it should. While it does probably do what it says to do, make you feel like you're racing Hot Wheels, it does not make you feel as good as you would feel when racing cars in Forza Horizon 5. And because of that, it really lacks what I was really hoping for Forza Horizon 5 DC. While it's still something fun, and it's still better than I would say actually most games, despite all the complaints I'm griping about. It just isn't as good. Just is not as good. And because of that, I would probably rate it around an 8 out of 10 or an 8.5 out of 10. So still a really good score, but nowhere near the 10 out of 10, the masterpiece level of Forza Horizon 5. And I'm kind of sad about that, but it's still fun to do, and I'll still play it. Um, it's just not as good. And I know I keep saying that, but it's just not as good. Um, and that review took much longer than I thought I would. I thought I'd only be talking here for about 10 minutes, but it's already been 34 minutes. So I guess I probably should wrap this up pretty soon. Um, so this video might be a bit long, and I probably won't um it won't be I probably should have condensed it more, but I think this might be a good start to doing more interesting and variety videos in this channel. And so if you like this and you're new to the channel, I would appreciate it if you like and subscribe. You know, as a YouTuber, I'm obligated to say that. I just thank you if you watch till the end. I I know it can be boring to hear me talk for this long, but I just thank you, and I'll see you next time. Bye. I'm not gonna say it as long.